life can hit like a sledgehammer. But guess what? We hit back harder. Welcome to Affirm That Shit. Somehow, I thrived. I'm Jennifer Rogers, your no BS guide to turning life's toughest moments into badass victories. Ready to flip the script? Let's affirm that life can be a bitch, but somehow we thrive. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time of the day you're joining us today, I want to say thank you. And I'm going to say thank you again because today I'm asking you to go to battle with me, a health battle, just for a moment. I want you to step into this invisible health battle, to know that you are the warrior wearing your shield. But this shield is your outward physical body. And in it, you know every bruise, every cut, every gash, every injury. Yet no one else can see them. Why? Because they're on the inside of that armor. It doesn't matter how loud you scream and tell others about your scars over and over. Your cry is not yet heard. Do you have the strength to continue to keep fighting? I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. Just as our guest today did. You don't give up. You keep aiming. Your sword keeps swinging. And you keep standing up until you're victorious in your world. And those are the affirmations our next guest, Ashley, lives. If you're new to the podcast, I'm going to ask you to take just a moment to say 3 affirmations 3 times with me. If you're in a space where you can rest comfortably, close your eyes and join me. If not, say them where and when you can. Today, we start with, I am a fighter. I am a fighter. I am a fighter. I am one with my body. I am one with my body. I am one with my body. I am worth it. I am worth it. I am worth it. And so are you. Right after this quick break, we will be bringing Ashley on. And this is a story you do not want to miss. We'll see you in just a moment.
Imagine a space where you let go, where the clamor of the world quiets and you meet your truest self. At Yu-Gi-Oh!, through sound vibrations, Reiki, and the wisdom of tarot, we help you release what no longer serves you, align with your energy, and renew your spirit. Begin your journey back to yourself today.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Jennifer. It's so nice to see you.
It's good to see you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So our affirmations, you and I spoke about when we talked some weeks ago in preparing for your show. And your introduction gives just a little bit of a teaser to our audience about the battle that you fought and the warrior that you are today. I'm going to ask you to take just a moment and lead us through your health battle. If you can share with us where it started, what were some signs or some feelings that you felt? We talked about, putting out that cry and no one hearing us or no one listening to us. And that affirmation and that introduction came directly from your story. So if you would, just walk us through your battlefield shit.
Well, it's a long one. So when I was young, I was about 17 or so when I had the first signs of my MS. My senior year of high school, my legs went numb, and I was in the hospital for about 3 or 4 days. I honestly don't remember how long it was. It seemed like forever being in the hospital that long, and they couldn't figure out why. They did a bunch of tests. I spent a few days in the adolescent ward, and then they ended up sending me home. And I saw a doctor afterwards, but there was nothing they could do. They didn't know anything. Then I had a few other incidents of things like that and some pain afterwards, a lot of pain. They sent me through MRIs. I had a spinal tap, which I do not recommend to anyone.
Well, I will just cancel mine for next week then, because
Yeah,
it's so fun. I just thought that up. Yeah.
not a test I recommend to anyone. I've had two, and I regret every one of them. And it just kept happening, and then I got more and more symptoms. I was in pain. I was losing weight. I was tired. Something was definitely wrong with me, but the doctors couldn't figure it out. I had gone to neurologists. I was getting MRIs. They couldn't find anything. And to diagnose MS, which is what I have, there's like boxes they have to check mark. You have to have so many of the symptoms and so much of this has to happen before they can officially diagnose you. They do blood work, the whole deal. But everything kept coming back as inconclusive, or they didn't find anything. And it went like this for years. I saw specialists over and over until, I was young and not as outspoken as I am as an adult, which I've learned to be over the years. I'm still fairly quiet, but I know to speak up now medically. But they kept telling my parents that I needed to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and they basically thought it was psychosomatic. They basically told my parents I was crazy, like that I was, making this up in my head. But like my parents knew something was wrong with me. I went to a bunch of specialists in Boston because I live in Mass. They told me the same thing. I lost vision in my right eye several times, had steroid treatments for that. Eventually, I was about 21 before they officially diagnosed me with MS. And unfortunately, my story isn't as unique as it sounds. There's a lot of times it takes years and years for diagnosis with autoimmune diseases. It's not an easy diagnosis. Some people have clear-cut cases, other people don't. It's what I've heard doctors refer to as a snowflake disease. We all may have the same symptoms, but we may feel them differently. It may look differently on us. Our lesions may be in different places. I have them in my brain and my spine, but it may...
And I apologize for interrupt when you say lesions, because again, that makes, maybe some of our minds were thinking a cut. Does that have the same meaning when you're talking about lesions in the brain?
No, like if you look at a brain MRI or my spine, they look like white little marks or masses in your head, but they're lesions. They cause, like I have one on my optic nerve, which affects my vision. You can see it, like when you go to the eye doctor and they do that flash test now.
Yes.
It's instead of like dilating your eyes, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they show you the picture. Well, you can actually see the lesion on the back of the optic nerve now.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird. Like I never thought that you could see it, but the eye doctor showed me. And the ones on my spine are very little, but believe it or not, the littler masses can cause more pain. So I am quite uncomfortable on the regular basis.
Thank you for explaining that, because again, with our English language, one word has so many different meanings.
Yeah.
And to take that down and to break it down, I really appreciate that, because that could be something concerning for someone if they hear, oh, you have a lesion on your spine, you have that lesion in your brain. So to really encourage us to ask questions, what does that mean? are there questions that you can recall today that you asked for additional clarification when you're receiving some of these lab results once you were able to
They
finally get them?
explained to me, you know, like what they were and what they're from. I couldn't tell you exactly a scientific definition of what they mean for me or what they don't. I just know what they cause. I can give you the more scientific thing about what my MS means. My body's attacking the myelin coverings of our nervous. So if you think of a wire, you know how it has like that rubbery plastic coating kind of thing on the outside?
Yes.
And then it covers the like exposed wiring on the inside. If you ever seen a stripped wire.
Mm-hmm.
So my body's eating the outside of it. So my body is essentially attacking itself. That's what an autoimmune disease is. It attacks something in your body that it thinks is bad for you, whether it's MS or Parkinson's or celiac, anything that's autoimmune that your body decides, it attacks some version of something in your body. Well, that's what my body does. It doesn't like those things.
Sure.
Which causes a good deal of discomfort. On the regular basis, I have symptoms I live with every day. That give me a good deal of discomfort, and I'm in pain fairly regularly. It depends on the day. I have good and bad days. I get tired. I get headaches. I've had everything from, I don't know, there's times where I get exacerbations, what they call where symptoms flare up, you get a new symptom, you need steroids. And then either the steroids help it go away and calm down, or you might end up with that symptom permanently afterwards. It's hard to say. There's also 4 different types of MS, which we talked about when we were chatting. Yes. I have something called relapsing remitting MS, which is usually the most common type of MS. The other kinds are a little more complicated. Some are just more progressive. There is a type of MS where you have one incident and then nothing ever happens ever again, which I think is kind of nice. I wish I had something like that.
Right.
Mine.
Right. Oh my goodness. So to go through all of this, and as women, we are not going to discuss our age. I don't
know. No. Yeah, let's not talk about it.
But you got your diagnosis, let's say, over 2 decades ago. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And so through this, there has been so much learning for you on how to navigate your condition. Mm-hmm. What works? What doesn't work? Do I need to see the physician? One of the things we talked about is when you're waiting on those lab results and that anxiety that comes up when you don't hear anything. But I loved what you shared. Would you share that with our audience?
So when I was first sick, I have regular MRIs on every 6 months or so. I have them on my brain and my spine, and I have blood work done on the regular, and some more comprehensive tests when needed. But I used to get scared waiting for my results, finding out if something had progressed, if there were more lesions, this, that, or the other thing. But honestly, now I realize that if you don't hear anything, life is good. That means that within an acceptable amount of hours, depending on if the lab's backed up or whatever, but in 48 to 72 hours, if you do not hear anything from your doctor, that usually means you're going to get a polite letter in your chart or in the mail saying everything was all clear, or there's been no changes, or there's nothing horrible unless your doctor tells you otherwise. If you get a call from your doctor after you've done tests, that's when you need to have the oh shit moment. Okay, something is not right. But usually if you don't hear from them, you're all good.
Thank you. Because I think that unknown is what's so scary for all of us, right? We're just waiting. We're in that limbo. We're in that suspense. So when you talked about no news is good news, and I thought, yes, we need to hear that. We need to, not speak out things or feel things that are not yet happening for us when it comes to our health. Now, other things in life, we want to feel those good things, right? We want to feel that positivity and those things as we're navigating through. You, my friend, have taken your health and you have owned it. You've given your life trajectory in one of the most common ways to heal, but one that we don't practice every day, and that is through food.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through how you moved from this shit storm of healing, testing, going to, you know what? Food's the answer, and we got this shit everywhere. This is how we do it. How did you recognize that food could help aid your health and recovery? And what are you doing with food today?
Okay, so one, I'm Italian, so food has always been a part of my life. So our whole family, everything revolves around food. I grew up helping in the kitchen, my great grandmother, my aunts, everybody, my grandmother, my dad, even all of us, put us all to work. I also think it's sometimes to have kept us out of trouble when we were little, but whatever. Either way, it worked. And I always loved to cook. I took over cooking for family events as a teenager and even on. It was something fun for me to do. And I've always been into healthy cooking and healthy eating. But when I got sick, and when I first started my first disease modifying therapy, it made me so sick all the time. Like I felt like I had the flu 4 days a week. And then I would start the cycle and I'd feel good like 3 days a week. And then I'd start the cycle over and over again to the point where I had trouble eating. And kind of like cancer patients that watch food like network shows or whatever, I would do that. And then it started making me think, like, how can food help you? Like I would start reading and watching things and wondering, okay, food is good and eating a healthy diet's good for you, but what else can food do? So I started exploring that as I was moving on in my health journey and working on my treatments. Because once you're diagnosed, it's not just the diagnosis, because then you have to move on to the treatment, which is another whole process of figuring out what's your treatment, what are you doing. And no one tells you that the treatment can almost be as worse as the diagnosis, because some of the treatments are not fun and there's not exactly a predictable way for your body to react to them. The side effects aren't great sometimes. So I was going through all this. I was 23. My father had just died. So all that stress was not good for my health. And I had been starting to do this anyways, but I got more and more into it. And I realized that certain foods can treat certain symptoms in your body, like, eliminating certain things from your diet, like dairy or processed sugars, can help with inflammation in your body. These are all things we know.
Right.
But we don't do. And it's also unfortunate that some of these things are also cheaper when we go to the store and, everyone's watching grocery prices and things like that. But there's things like celery that can help with that inflammation and arthritis in our body. Eating certain greens and things can help, flush toxins out of our system for our liver. There's all kinds of things that we need to start thinking about to help detox our body and to help focus on whatever health problems we have. The way we change our diet, the way we combine food is so important to us. So I decided to create a business when I turned 30, and I did. And now I help people doing things like that.
Amazing. What is your business name?
So my business name is Bella Foodie. It's what I am. I am a foodie. And Bella came from my great grandmother. When I was little, even until I was an adult, she would say Bella every time she grabbed my face and kissed me and said hello. And for some reason that stuck with me. And I wanted something that was part of me and part of my family. And that was that. And my logo, actually, if you know any like Italian families that are true Italians, you'll see that there's a spoon and fork on their wall, like a wooden spoon and fork. So the L's in my logo are the spoon and fork, and that came from my aunt's house.
Oh my goodness. I love the story about your grandmother. I could just, when you shared that, just picture her just squeezing your little cheeks and saying that. So that is a beautiful story, a beautiful way to honor her every day, to honor your health journey. Could I ask, Since you are a foodie, self-proclaimed foodie, what is your go-to food, your favorite recipe, your number one recommendation? Just anytime Ashley's feeling it, this is where I'm going.
When people ask me what my favorite recipe is or anything like that, I feel like it's like picking your favorite child or your favorite pet. Like, you can't just pick your one, because it's all like depending on my feeling that day or how I'm feeling. It's like, am I gonna bake today and go for the chocolate? Am I gonna make a salad today because I went to the farmer's market and I saw everything? By the way, do not ever take me to a farmer's market. My eyes are so much bigger than my stomach. Like, if it's like a good farmer's market, all the farmers, I swear to God, can see me coming.
Oh, they're like, here she comes. Put our best basket and bundles together.
But like the other day, I made something as simple as roasting some delicata squash and making a little bit of microgreens with it. Something so simple. I just stick to a lot of local, seasonal, organic cooking. So right now it's all the apples and the squashes and little microgreens and sweet potatoes. I'm all into the root vegetables right now. And I'm just started making soup because here on the East Coast, it's been getting like in the 30s in the morning. So I've been freezing.
I'm with you. This time of year, when it's soup season, soup and sweaters, I'm all in. Like, give them all to me. So those acorn squashes, those butternut squashes, what can we make? How can we do them? Those are always something that we keep stocked here.
I do have a butternut squash mac and cheese that my clients love. And it's one of those ways to hide the veggies from the kids. And it's still that perfect color that reminds them of those things that come in the box. So if you're trying to trick your children, it's the best way possible. And there's nothing wrong with adding a little bit of healthy cheese. And I always make it with non-dairy milk. And I can usually use like almond milk cheese or something, some vegan cheese. And then it's kind of like, that's actually a lot better. And if you put a sauce like that on anything, you can always hide in like lentil pasta or cauliflower pasta, like all those things that the kids hate on a regular, but you're giving them a bunch of vegetables and protein.
Right. And I love how you expressed to us that just a simple recipe, and then you kind of walked through, and I was like, girl, that is more than I can do, probably. But you show us how to do that through part of your business. Would you take just a little bit and share with us what your business is?
So through my business, I'm a holistic personal chef and food educator. I teach workshops and cooking classes. I can either do it virtually or in person. I do a lot of public speaking about my health and my health journey and what it means to me and how I built a wonderful life doing this and how being health and wellness is wonderful. My favorite thing in the world is teaching cooking classes to kids. I love to see their faces light up and see them eat healthy food and make the connection in their minds. There's nothing like it. But honestly, the best thing and the only thing I ever want to do in this life is to make people healthier and to open their eyes to new things. If I can get at least one person to do one extra healthy thing in their life, then I feel like I've won. So I'm starting to do more consulting work for people and to teach more businesses and things like that. So I'm so excited where things are going to go.
You are going to make such an impact, more than you already have.
I hope so.
I know so. I know so. And I know that our listeners are going to want more of you. They want to know more about your journey because that may be something that they're experiencing now, or they're going through autoimmune testing, or maybe their parents, their spouse, their siblings, their own children may be going through this health battle that we talked about. And you know what? Let's change up how we're eating. Are you open to receiving connections? And if so, how can those connections be made? How can we reach out to get more of Ashley, more of Bella Foodie?
I am happy to connect with anyone that's open to connecting or needs help. You can message me on Instagram at Bella Foodie 7, or you can email me at ashley@bellafoodie.net, or you can just go straight to our website and we have a contact form, which is bellafoodie.net.
Thank you, Ashley. And we'll share all of your contact information in today's show notes as well. And I want to just one more time thank you for being the beautiful warrior that you are, for mounting up, for standing up for yourself and saying, I own who I am, I'm speaking what I'm feeling, and I'm not laying down and giving up. You are such a powerful woman. And I am so thankful that you joined us today, that you shared your experiences of walking through that shit for years before you got your diagnosis, hearing things about yourself that were not true from medical professionals, and saying, you know what, I know there's something happening inside of me, and I'm going to keep pushing through. You drew your arrow back and you aimed, and you, my friend, have hit that target. So thank you again for being here today.
Jennifer, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you giving me the chance to share my story, and such kind words from you. You're going to make me cry today.
It's okay. I'll cry with you. We'll cry together. We'll get all these things out. And then we're going to kick ass. We're going to affirm this shit. And we're going to change lives. You just took another step towards owning your story and thriving against all odds. This is Affirm That Shit. Somehow I thrived. If you're ready to keep kicking ass, subscribe now and let's keep breaking barriers together. Remember, life's a battle, but somehow you'll thrive.